would be like, wow, I still can't believe it. Tiffany, like you're not with an Asian guy? He would say it to my face. Hi, I'm Tiffany, and I'm Chinese American.
Hi, I'm David, and I am El Salvadorian.
And today we're gonna be taste testing Asian snacks and talking about our relationship.
I really like the ginger, but I feel like you don't.
We can do it. Just get it over with. The first one is 100% natural ginger chews. This is interesting. I've never had this before.
I don't think I've had it either.
It's a little sticky.
Definitely stuck to the package.
I'll just bite it from here.
Oh, interesting. Wait, it's just completely...
It smells good.
It's pretty good. I wish I could eat all of it though, but it's really stuck to the wrapper.
It tastes like lemony.
It has lemon in it, I thought.
Oh, it does?
Lemon ginger chews.
Oh. This is pretty good. I normally don't like ginger that much. We've been dating 3 years and 6 months.
These are shrimp crackers. Open here.
I've had this before.
I think I've had it before too.
Maybe at my house or something.
I think, yeah.
Cheers!
Oh. These are pretty good. I like these.
It tastes good. I kind of want another one. Because the other one was very sweet. So we met in college back in, I want to say 2017? Was that? Or 20?
Give or take. It was like
yeah,
December
2017. And we actually met sort of through like a mutual friend, but we met through like college ministry. Eventually we like served on Crew's worship team together. So that's kind of how we like continued building our relationship and getting to know each other.
Yeah. All right, we're going for the peach one.
Oh.
These are peach gummy candy. Oh, they're in wrappers. Cool.
I don't really like peach either, but I'm committed. Dude, eat it already? You didn't wait for me.
I like peach. Oh. It's pretty good.
This is actually pretty good. I'll admit that.
Just pure peach.
Yeah, it just tastes like peach.
It's good though. When I knew I started liking her, it was right before spring break. So both of us were going on our own individual mission trips. I think she went to, was it Florida?
Florida.
I went to Texas for just different mission trips with Crew. And I remember throughout that week, her and I started talking more because I think it became more obvious that we liked each other. And we were talking with our own friends at that point, telling them, oh, we like this person.
What do I do?
Yeah, and of course, they were talking to each other. So they were like, they were telling each other, oh, David likes Tiff. Oh, cool, Tiff likes David. That's cool.
Traitors.
Yeah. But after that week was over, we came back and we got to know each other more. And I told her, hey, I have feelings for you and I want to see where you're at. Even
after he talked to me, I kind of felt like, oh, I want us to get to know each other as friends longer. So it kind of dragged out, I'll admit, like a good 8 months.
Not like.
before we officially started dating. It was like literally, he talked to me like April that year and then we didn't start dating till like December.
I knew you were gonna pick that one.
How do you know? Because I want to torture you.
Yeah.
Just kidding. Hot wasabi flavored peas. I don't think this is, oh, it's resealable.
That's cool.
Sorry, I don't think I can. Oh, okay. So I have to pour it into your hand.
Just pour one?
No.
What?
Two.
I don't do well with spicy.
He doesn't like spicy.
Yeah.
Okay, I want to eat both.
Okay.
It's crunchy.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good. I feel like it just tastes like wasabi, but it's not too bad. Do you want more?
No, I'm okay.
Oh.
Well, my parents were very excited. She was my first girlfriend, so they were ecstatic when they were like, oh,
you
wow.
have a girlfriend. Wow. Yeah.
How were your parents?
Mine were it was a little different. I think when I first told my parents, I was like, oh yeah, there's a guy that I'm interested in and he's interested in me. Once they heard that David was like Hispanic background, I think they had a lot of like concerns, because for them, a lot of times like their advice was, oh, you know, if you date / like potentially marry somebody that's like your own culture, you know, for me, Chinese, like that's already going to be really hard and have a lot of barriers. So imagine like dating somebody of like a different culture, that's even like harder. So I think they had a lot of like hesitations. And too, on top of that, like since I was like a year in school older, like age-wise, the expectations and like norms in like Asian culture, I feel like normally the idea is like, oh yeah, the guy is like a bit older, more mature, like can take care of you in the future. So I feel like there was like some like pushback for me.
I think for me, one of the biggest ones that I noticed, especially like with church, Hispanics are just very expressive. So they're like, it's very normal in our everyday Sunday service for people to be like on their knees crying, you know, during worship, and then for the worship service to be like 2 hours long, just singing, you know, and then we still have a sermon, and then there's like that. So it was very much a change going to her church. People have like a much deeper, I guess like reverence for God. So it's not as expressed on their faces, but they definitely have like a lot of honor and respect for God.
Yeah.
You know.
I would agree. Both cultures, like I feel like Asian culture and Hispanic culture like really do love family and like prioritize family, but the way they express themselves is like really different. So I feel like a lot of times, you know, being Chinese background, it's very like acts of service, you know, very like bringing honor to the family, caring for them through like your time, your energy, your resources. And I feel like with David's family, it's like definitely much more like affectionate in a different way, like very more physical touch, you know, like they're a little more like affirming verbally too, like very expressive, just like he said, even like, because that comes out in church, but it also comes out in our personal relationships, like with each other's families.
I remember the first time she came to my church, and it's very, for Hispanics, when we greet each other, we kiss each other on the cheek. And so I completely forgot about that and forgot to warn Tiff before.
He didn't warn me about a lot of things, man.
She came to my church, and the greeter went in for, you know.
And it was a guy. Yeah, it was a guy too.
Because you typically do with like a guy and girl.
It doesn't really matter. Like, and then I was like, it was too close.
I felt kind of bad. It also was kind of funny.
Yeah, that was funny. And then it was just very like, because their whole church, like they all speak Spanish and I don't know any Spanish. And so like, even when they were introducing me as like a newcomer, I remember that same day, apparently he like introduced me as like David's girlfriend in Spanish in front of everybody, the whole church.
The guy that was announcing it is the worship pastor, and I know him pretty well.
And no one thought to tell me during the service. So then after, people like came up to us and they're like, congratulations, we're so happy for you, congrats. And I was like, for what? And then David, then he was like, oh yeah, they announced like you're my girlfriend. And I said, why didn't you tell me? Because when it happened, I was just smiling, everyone was clapping for me. I said, okay. Something that surprised me when we started dating was actually my own culture, which I think is interesting, because I didn't know until like David was kind of integrating into my family that like, oh, Asians kind of have a lot of like unspoken rules and like manners and things that we look for in a person, like in first impressions. So I feel like I didn't even like recognize like how deeply ingrained that was in me and like my parents until like David came into the picture. Because like, you know, my parents would ask questions like, why is he doing that? Or like, how come he doesn't know how to do this? Or like at the dinner table particularly, it's like, you know, if it's an unspoken thing where like if there's the last little bit on the plate, like the community plate, like you have to ask does anyone else want it? It's like, you have to be polite and like give respect. Like, oh, does like someone older want it first? But then like, I feel like you didn't know that when you came into it. And then I didn't know that he didn't know. And I also didn't know that like, I naturally do it. Whatever, you choose.
Okay.
Pocky.
This is Pocky. Actually had this when I was a kid.
Oh, did you try the other flavors?
No, I just had the chocolate one.
I can't. I think I tried the strawberry one. You know they have a matcha one?
Yes. I've never tried it before.
I don't know what this stick is. Like, I think it's like a cracker or like a cracker biscuit like consistency. And then it's like dipped in chocolate. So it's a pretty plain snack, but it's like very classic.
I think both cultures really value like education a lot.
Definitely focus on like family, like loving family members, like supporting them. And I would say too, sort of similar dynamic of like respecting like those that are older.
Yeah.
Okay, this is rice crackers. This is really good. I used to eat this growing up a lot. So.
I had this. My Chinese teacher gave this to us actually.
Oh.
I took some Mandarin classes in high school and middle school.
That's why we get along. Because when we first met and I found out you took Chinese and he'd always wanted to go to China, out of all places that he wanted to visit, I was like, why?
It's one of the food.
Like, I was like, why did this guy, what? I was like, why does he want to go to like China? I've been there. It's okay. Well, it's hot.
Pretty good. Kind of tastes like popcorn.
I feel like this is healthier than like American snacks, to be honest. Than like a Dorito, you know? Before we were dating, I think I was not like a quality time person at all. Like I'm very much like, well, I think I'm still like this to him, like I love to give gifts. Like I love doing that. And words of affirmation are like my really big ones that I just give to people like I really love. But receiving, it was never like quality time. Like I think receiving, I always really loved like acts of service, which I still do, but definitely quality time was like at the bottom. But ever since like we've been together, I'm like, I feel like I'm very clingy. Like I'm like, oh, I just always want David around. And my family thinks it's so annoying. They're like, what? Like you just saw him. Why didn't you see him again? You know, I'm like, because I want to be with him. And so that's definitely like changed a lot. So I think like he said, he gives me a lot of like his time, like, and tries like his best to like give me his undivided attention, just to like listen and like support me. Cause definitely like I'm a very emotional person in our relationship and deal with a lot of ups and downs sometimes. So he's very like patient, always listening and like comforting me, and like words of affirmation as well. I feel like you give a lot of.
Like you were saying, you like love to give gifts. I think you're like one of the most thoughtful people I've ever met.
Oh.
But even like more so than that, like you're always like really, really caring towards not only me, but I see it with your friends a lot too. How you're always like trying to reach out to them.
I would say like, you know, with my parents, acts of service is also like an act of love that they do, but it's not as much words of affirmation. So I think as I've gotten older, like I've learned that about myself of like, oh yeah, that's why I desire words of affirmation so much. Because I feel like growing up, we didn't really like exchange that as much. But in David's family, I feel like they did more. So I feel like that was kind of cool. Like I'm like, oh yeah, I want that.
Even before we knew each other, God was like already working in both of our hearts to like be really involved in worship, because both of us were really involved with worship in our own churches and really passionate about it by the time we met each other. During the rest of our relationship too, God has just shown us like so much grace when the two of us mess up that I feel like it's a lot easier for us to be really patient with the other person.
God's like shown both of us like humility of like choosing to love the other person even when you're like so different, or even when you disagree, or like when you feel justified in something. I feel like we've had so many conversations of like, like choosing patience, like choosing love towards each other. And like, I don't think that's like possible without like knowing that that's what Jesus has done for us.
Hello, Panda.
I had this a lot growing up too.
Oh, it's just one thing?
It's just one pack.
Oh.
Hello, Panda. Did you eat these before meeting me? Or
No.
it wasn't until we met?
Yeah.
That you
it
started
was
eating
until
them?
like last week.
Last week?
When Joyce brought it out. These ones?
Yeah.
Yeah, Joyce brought them out. I think that was my first time eating them. Oh. I ate it and didn't realize there
That's
was something
how we're
on
different, guys.
I didn't realize there was something on the inside, so it was very surprising.
Oh, I feel like these are classic. They're kind of like Pocky, but in a little shell. Because it's also like a biscuit thing around, and then there's chocolate inside.
I feel like it's been really cool to just kind of see like my family interacting with her family, and yeah, just seeing like how happy my parents are. That like, oh, her family's like so loving and caring, but they like show it in a different way, you know. Even something as simple as like, you know, for Hispanics we eat beans for like almost everything, with almost anything. Like it's like breakfast, lunch, dinner, whatever it may be. But they're always salty. And so there was like one time when her family came over for dinner, and they brought over like this dessert that's like beans but it's sweet.
It was red bean.
Yeah,
like a red bean dessert.
Yeah.
Which is very
sweet,
common.
with ice cream. My parents like it like blew their minds. They're like, what?
They were like kind of cautious. They were like,
like
what
yeah,
is
they
this?
Were, like, they like slowly ate it and like chewing it really slowly, and they're like, oh, this is really good, but it's so different and weird, you know?
I mean, being in an interracial relationship, I think I like learn a lot like about myself too, and even learn like what the strengths and weaknesses are in myself and like in the way I was like brought up. Seeing the way his culture is like highlights to me like, oh, the good stuff about like what I grew up with, you know, like how yeah, like I am proud of the way that like my parents raised me and like how to treat others with respect and like honor. I feel like I love learning and seeing that reflected in different ways of like both sides of our families.
So growing up, I assumed like, oh, I probably wouldn't date another Hispanic. Being around like Hispanics all the time, and I always felt very like just different, you know, like value different things. I was a little bit more reserved than they were, and so I definitely saw myself probably dating somebody that wasn't Hispanic. I don't know if Asian was the one that I thought I'd be dating, but
that's really funny.
Yeah. Did you? I guess you did.
I'm opposite. Right? I'm opposite. Like I was like, I feel like everybody in my life, including me, was like, yeah, you're gonna be with like a Chinese person, because I just am really Chinese. Like I feel like the way my parents raised me, even I guess the simple thing like in the home, we always speak Chinese. And then my mom always watched Chinese TV, Chinese movies. So I would watch with her. I learned a lot of vocab that way, and then I would watch on my own. So that's why like I always was like, yeah, I want to be with someone that like speaks Cantonese or has like same background as me. So then I think when I started dating David, or even expressed I was interested in someone that was Hispanic, it was like, oh, everyone was shocked. They were like, what? Like literally I had like a friend's parent, his dad would be like, wow, I still can't believe it. Tiffany, like you're not with an Asian guy? He would say it to my face. Like he was like, oh, like
I met him too.
Yeah, he's like I'm so shocked. Like I just didn't see it from you. Like
he's very open about those opinions.
Yeah, and just like says it to me, and it's fine. Like we don't feel offended. It's just more really funny because you just know he'll just say it, and like, you know, like is very comfortable saying it to me, and it's just really funny. I was like, you know, I tell him, me too, man. For myself, being in an interracial relationship and like what helps, or even like seeing friends, like other friends that I've had that are in like interracial relationships, like one thing I noticed consistently is that usually like couples are open. Like they're very open to learning like new things and just like being open to ideas and like being challenged.
That's like the main thing, honestly, with it. And it's the main thing with like any relationship too. But I think it gets emphasized more with like relationships with different cultures, just because like like you're getting involved in like this whole other, almost like this whole other world. So just like being like moldable, and just having fun with that process too, because it is fun like getting to experience another culture. Which one was your favorite?
I think I'm kind of surprised, but I really like the peas. The wasabi flavored peas.
Really?
Normally, like, I
not like them.
Oh, whatever.
I don't like wasabi that much, so.
Because he doesn't like spicy. Which that's a funny thing in our cultures too, because I feel like both like spicy foods, or.
Like I said, that was very different.
Yeah, so he never liked spicy growing up, but I love spicy food, so that's kind of funny. But yeah, I like this one.
I don't know, I'm torn between.
I feel like this one.
Well, I'm torn between this one and the shrimp ones too, because I really like the shrimp.
Wait, I should have had you guess mine.
Yeah, I wouldn't have guessed that one actually.
Nice. Yeah, but.
Yeah, but this was fun. I really liked it.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you for having us.
And listening to our relationship.
Bye.
Bye.